Bash tool cd homeclodin and Python cr import docs from docs.shared import pete. RGB color. Inches from docs enum text import. Woody align paragraph import IOC. Create document with basic formatting doc. Word docs document. Set margin sections. Warn doc.sections for section in sections. Section left margin. Just inches 1. Section right margin. Inches 1 section dot top margin. Inches 1 section bottom margin or inches 1. Add title. Doc.add paragraph title run. Title.add run. That moment the galaxy realized what humanity's professional army truly was. Title run dot bold. True title run dot font dot size. PT sign title dot alignment. Broody align paragraph center add part 1 subtitle. Doc add paragraph subtitle run. Subtitled add dash run part 1. Subtitle run dot bold. True subtitle run font size irrenar PT14 subtitled alignment. Broody align paragraph center. Story content story. Text. The Galactic Council's judgment chamber loomed. Vast and imposing, a cathedral of impossible architecture suspended in the void between stars. Inside, 300 species from across the Milky Way sat in terraced rings that stretched upward into shadow. Their murmurs filled the air with clicks, whistles, and subsonic rumbles as they awaited the arrival of the accused. Ambassador Eliana Reyes stood alone on the central platform, her simple Navy diplomatic uniform, a stark contrast to the ornate biological and mechanical adornments of the alien representatives. Behind her, Earth's small delegation watched nervously from their observation pod. High Arbiter Vox Teal, a being of crystalline appendages and eyes like distant galaxies, raised all 4 of his primary limbs. The Council has convened to address the Terran violation of Galactic Security Protocol 873b, the unauthorized militarization of a protectorate species. The evidence displays activated. Massive holographic projections showing Earth's orbital defense platforms, stealth vessels, and training facilities. These installations exceed permitted defensive capabilities by orders of magnitude, continued the Arbiter. The penalty for such transgressions is severe: quarantine or, if necessary, preemptive neutralization. Ambassador Reyes remained composed. With respect, High Arbiter, humanity has maintained exactly the defensive capabilities permitted under our protectorate status. What you're seeing are not military installations. Explain these structures, demanded Vox Teal, highlighting a massive orbital station where humanoid figures trained in what clearly appeared to be combat. Those are emergency response training facilities, Reyes replied. Our emergency services personnel, what you might consider civilian first responders. They're trained to handle natural disasters, evacuations, search and rescue operations. A ripple of disbelief coursed through the chamber. Ambassador, interrupted Councillor Drekmore of the Uxthari Imperium, his barbed tentacles flexing with suspicion. Are you claiming these individuals on the display zoomed in on humans performing what appeared to be military drills are merely civilian emergency workers? Yes, Councillor, Reyes answered without hesitation. On Earth, our firefighters, paramedics, and disaster response teams train rigorously. It's a cultural cornerstone. And these vessels? On the display shifted to sleek ships in Earth orbit, medical evacuation and disaster response craft. We face hurricanes, earthquakes, tsunamis. Our emergency services must deploy rapidly anywhere on our planet. The Galactic Council erupted in disbelief. If these are merely your emergency services, Voxtel's voice cut through the chaos, then where is your actual military? For the first time, Ambassador Reyes smiled. That's precisely what I've been trying to explain, High Arbiter. Earth doesn't have what you would consider a traditional standing army. What you're seeing, that's just how we train our public servants. Stunned silence fell across the chamber as the implications sank in. If these were merely Earth's emergency responders, what would their actual warriors be capable of? The council chamber descended into chaos. Representatives shouted over one another, some demanding immediate action against Earth, others calling for further investigation. Silence. A Voxtel's command echoed through the vast space. The chamber quieted instantly. This session will recess for deliberation. Ambassador Reyes, you will remain on station. As the council members filed out through various exits, Captain Marcus Vega approached Ambassador Reyes from the Earth observation pod. His weathered face carried the confident calm of someone who had faced far worse situations. "That went about as expected," he said quietly. "Did you see their faces when I told them those were just our emergency services?" Reyes replied, her diplomatic mask slipping to reveal a slight smile. 30 years we've been playing this game," Vega mused, watching the alien representatives disperse. 30 years of letting them believe Earth is just another primitive world grateful for protection. Reyes straightened her uniform. "It was always going to end someday. I just hoped we'd have more time to prepare." "Maybe it's better this way," Vega said. "The longer we pretended to be something we're not, the harder the revelation would be." An aide rushed toward them, his face pale. "Ambassador Captain, we've received an encrypted message from Counselor Talva. She says there's a faction planning to move against Earth immediately. They're not waiting for the deliberation." "Who?" Vega asked, his hand instinctively moving to where a weapon would be, if diplomatic protocols allowed it. "The Yuxthari, the Corellian Aggregate, and the Volocris Dominion," the aide whispered. "They've already dispatched a fleet. ETA to Earth, 12 hours. Reyes and Vega exchanged glances. "It's time," she said. Vega nodded grimly. "I'll contact Earth Defense Command. We need to activate contingency Helios." As they hurried toward their ship, Reyes glanced back at the now empty council chamber. For 3 decades, humanity had hidden its true nature from the galaxy. After the devastating First Contact War with the Vraxian Empire, a conflict the rest of the galaxy knew nothing about, Earth had rebuilt and prepared, all while maintaining the facade of a humble protectorate species grateful for Galactic Council protection. That illusion was about to shatter. Back on their diplomatic vessel, the Earth delegation worked with urgent precision. What had appeared to be a simple transport was rapidly reconfiguring. Weapon systems coming online, stealth capabilities activating. All systems green, reported Lieutenant Kai Wilson, the ship's tactical officer. Defense grids primed and ready. On the main screen, a fleet of warships emerged from slipspace. The curved predatory shapes of Yuxthari vessels, the geometric precision of Corellian ships, and the organic-looking Volocris craft formed a deadly armada. "They're not even trying to hide their intentions," Vega noted. "They mean to strike before the full council can intervene." "They fear us," Reyes said. "Not for what we are, but for what we might become." "Incoming transmission," Wilson announced. The screen shifted to show Counselor Drekmore, his tentacles writhing with anticipation. "Ambassador Reyes, your deception ends today. The threat of human militarization cannot be permitted to continue. You will surrender your vessel and prepare your world for occupation, or face immediate eradication." Reyes stepped forward. "Counselor, I urge you to reconsider. What you witnessed today was no deception. Earth has honored every treaty, every agreement. We've never violated galactic law. Your semantic games do not fool us," Drekmore hissed. "If your so-called civilian forces possess such capabilities, your actual military must be formidable indeed. We cannot risk allowing such a threat to develop unchecked." "You misunderstand," Reyes replied calmly. "Earth doesn't have a traditional military as you conceive of it. What you saw truly are our emergency services. Our planetary defense forces are simply civilians with specialized training." "Impossible." Drekmore's tentacles lashed violently. "No species survives to reach space without developing dedicated warrior castes. Humanity took a different path," Reyes explained. "After centuries of warfare among ourselves, we found that dedicated military forces often become tools for those seeking power. Instead, we developed a system where all citizens learn basic defense and specialized response teams handle emergencies. You expect us to believe your entire defense strategy relies on firefighters and medical workers?" Drekmore's voice dripped with sarcasm. Vega stepped into view. "Counselor, I was what you would call a firefighter for 20 years before joining the diplomatic service. My team routinely entered burning buildings, rescued civilians from collapsed structures, contained hazardous materials, and performed high-angle rescues. We trained daily in tactical operations, emergency response, and crisis management. This changes nothing," Drekmore declared. "Your vessel is surrounded. Surrender now." "Before you take action," Reyes said, There's something you should know about Earth's history. She nodded to Wilson, who transmitted a data package. These are historical records of Earth's conflicts, our world wars, our civil struggles, the capabilities of what you would call our civilian population. As Drekmore received the information, his expression shifted from dismissive to concerned, then alarmed. This cannot be accurate, he stammered. Every bit of it is true, Reyes confirmed. What you're seeing isn't our military capability. It's our cultural memory. Every human carries this legacy. Drekmore's ships began to power up weapons. Final warning, Ambassador. Surrender or be destroyed. Reyes looked to Vega, who nodded solemnly. Bashtool CD Home Claudin and Python C or import docs from docs.shared import p. RGB color inches from docsenum.text import. D-align paragraph import IOSU. Create document with basic formatting doc. Conquer docs document. Set margin sections. Conquer doc.sections for section in sections. Section.left margin. Inches 1. Section.right margin. Inches 1 section.top of margin. Inches 1 section.bottom margin. Grower inches 1. Grower. Add title. Doc.add paragraph. Title run. Titled add run. That moment the galaxy realized what humanity's professional army truly was. Title run bold. True title now run. Font. Size. PTU 16. Title. Alignment. And de-align paragraph center. Add part 2 subtitle. Doc add paragraph. Subtitle run. Subtitled add run part 2. Subtitle run bold. Can. True subtitle John run font. Size. 1 Pete Purine. Subtitle alignment. With the align paragraph center. Story content story. Text review. Alarms blared through the Galactic Council station as emergency lighting bathed the corridors in pulsing crimson. The Council's deliberation chamber, moments ago filled with heated debate over the human question, erupted into panic. Hive mind breach in Sector 7. The automated announcement echoed through the vast chamber. All Council members proceed to secure locations. This is not a drill. High Arbiter Vox Teal rose from his crystalline seat, his 4 primary limbs gesturing for order. Remain calm. Our defenses are... A thunderous impact shook the entire station, cutting him off mid-sentence. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing a terrifying sight. A swarm of organic-looking ships had emerged from slipspace less than 10,000 kilometers from the station. Their chitinous hulls absorbed light rather than reflecting it, creating the impression of moving voids against the backdrop of stars. The containment field in the Scutum Centaurus arm has failed, reported a frantic Melosian technician, her feathered appendages trembling. The hive mind has broken through. The hive mind, an ancient collective consciousness controlling billions of drone bodies, had been the galaxy's most feared predator for millennia. Only the combined might of the Council races had managed to contain them in a remote sector of the galaxy. Until now. Captain Marcus Vega watched the chaos unfold from the Earth diplomatic vessel. Beside him, Ambassador Reyes maintained her composure despite the gravity of the situation. The hive couldn't have broken containment by accident, Vega said quietly. Not at the exact moment the Council was deciding our fate. No, Reyes agreed. Someone wanted to ensure the deliberations never concluded. Lieutenant Wilson's voice came through their comms. Ambassador, Captain. Council security is locking down all auxiliary vessels. We're being ordered to power down and await further instructions. Reyes exchanged a glance with Vega. Inform them we're preparing to offer assistance. Ma'am? You heard the Ambassador, Vega said, already moving toward the ship's operations center. Prep the response team. On the main Council channel, panicked voices overlapped as representatives demanded protection and evacuation. Through the chaos, Councillor Drekmore's distinctive rasping voice cut through. Deploy the Guardian Fleet. All available UX-30 vessels protect the Council chamber. The station shuddered again as the first wave of hive drones struck the outer defenses. On the tactical displays, the Guardian Fleet, the pride of the Council's military might, moved to intercept. Energy weapons flared against the darkness of space, momentarily illuminating the battlefield with blues and greens and violent purples. Councillor Drekmore, Ambassador Reyes transmitted. Earth offers assistance. Our vessel is equipped with response capabilities that may be effective against the hive. We do not need human help. Drekmore's reply was instant and indignant. The Guardian fleet has defended the Council for 10,000 cycles. Your primitive rescue workers would only get in the way. Another impact rocked the station. Warning lights flashed across the command displays. Outer defenses breached, reported a Tahiri officer, their voice unnaturally calm. Hive boarding parties detected in docking bays 12 through 17. The diplomatic vessel's comm system chimed with an incoming transmission, not from the Council channels, but a direct, encrypted line. When Reyes answered, the face of Counselor Talva appeared. The elderly Novan's skin rippled with stress-induced color patterns. "Ambassador, Captain," she said urgently. "The Guardian fleet is failing. The Hive have developed new tactics. They're targeting command ships with precision strikes. Someone has given them our defense protocols. The same someone who arranged for their containment to fail during our hearing," Reyes surmised. "Precisely." Talva's skin shifted to a deep, worried blue. "I've served on the Council for 300 years. I've never seen the Hive move with such coordination. What do you need from us?" Vega asked. "Help." The simple word seemed to cost the proud counselor greatly. "If what you told us about your people is true, if your emergency responders are as capable as you claim, we need them now." Vega was already moving before she finished speaking. "Prepare landing parties," he ordered as he strode through the ship. "Full emergency response protocol. I want paramedic teams ready for casualty extraction, firefighting units for structural defense, and ranger squads for security operations." Throughout the diplomatic vessel, what had appeared to be a skeleton crew of 12 transformed into a coordinated response force. Diplomatic aides removed their formal attire to reveal form-fitting intervention suits underneath. What seemed to be decorative wall panels slid aside, revealing equipment caches filled with tools and gear that, while not technically weapons, would prove just as effective. Lieutenant Wilson, no longer at a communications station, but gearing up alongside the others, approached Vega. "Sir, Council Security is denying our request to dock. They're saying all auxiliary vessels must maintain distance for their own safety." "Override protocols," Vega ordered. "Transmit emergency response code Alpha 9. That's a planetary disaster code," Wilson noted. "We've never used it off Earth. A hive mind attack on the Galactic Council seems to qualify," Vega replied, checking the fit of his intervention suit. "Besides, we've never needed to reveal our capabilities before today." As the diplomatic vessel broke formation and accelerated toward the besieged station, the Council's defense grid automatically targeted them. "Unidentified vessel, return to holding position or you will be fired upon," became the automated warning. "This is Captain Marcus Vega of Earth Emergency Response," Vega transmitted. "We are inbound with firefighting, medical, and search and rescue capabilities. We have experience with structural fires, hazardous materials, and hostile entity containment." There was a pause then. "Earth vessel, our defenses are automated. Return to override code Alpha 9 Tango 7, Vega interrupted. "Priority response team inbound." To the astonishment of the Council security forces, their own defense grid recognized the code and created a corridor through the shields for the Earth vessel. Unbeknownst to the Council, Earth's representatives had spent decades subtly introducing emergency protocols into the galactic security systems, just in case. As they approached Docking Bay 8, they could see the battle raging inside the station. Through the massive transparent aluminum windows, hive drones swarmed through corridors while Council security forces retreated in disarray. "What's the situation?" Reyes asked, joining Vega in the deployment bay. She'd exchanged her diplomatic attire for an intervention suit matching the others. "Hive drones have breached multiple sections," Wilson reported. "Council forces are falling back to protected zones. Life support is failing in the outer rings." "Standard search and rescue, then," Vega said, as if they were responding to a building collapse back on Earth, rather than an alien invasion. "Teams of 4, standard formation. Rescue survivors, contain threats, stabilize structure. And the hive?" asked Reyes. Vega picked up what appeared to be firefighting equipment, a high-pressure hose system with multiple attachments. "Hive drones hate water. They hate fire-suppressant foam even more. Their exoskeletons are sensitive to temperature changes and pressure." You've prepared for this, Reyes realized. For 30 years, Vega confirmed. Ever since we learned about the hive mind, Earth's emergency services have been developing response protocols. Just in case, the diplomatic vessel docked with a gentle shudder. As the airlock cycled, Vega addressed the assembled team, 12 humans in intervention suits, carrying equipment that looked more appropriate for fighting wildfires than alien invaders. Remember your training, he said simply. We do this every day back home. The only difference is the building structure and the nature of the threat. Standard protocols apply. As the airlock doors slid open, they were met with chaos. Smoke filled the corridor, emergency lighting flickered, and distant screeching, the sound of hive drones, echoed through the station. The team moved out with practiced precision, splitting into 3 squads. Vega led the first team toward the council chamber. Wilson took the second toward life support systems, and Reyes headed the third toward the evacuation zones. Counselor Dreckmore, retreating with his security detail, froze in shock as he saw humans moving confidently through the smoke-filled corridors toward the danger, rather than away from it. What are they doing? He demanded. Those fools will be slaughtered. Bash tool CD, home, Claude, and in Python, CNR import docs from docs.shared-import-pete. RGB color, inches from docs.enum.text import, WD align, paragraph import, IO6, create document with basic formatting docs, site docs, document, set margin sections, doc.sections, for section in sections, section. Left margin, barn inches 1 section, right margin, barn inches 1 section, top margin, barn inches 1 section, bottom margin, barn inches 1. Add title, barn doc addy paragraph, title, run, arn title, add run. That moment, the galaxy realized what humanity's professional army truly was, title run. Bold Cron's true title, don run font size, year PT 16 title alignment. WD align paragraph center, add part 3 subtitle, doc.add paragraph, subtitle my run, year subtitle.add run, part 3, subtitle my run bold, true subtitle my run font size, year PT 14 subtitle alignment, year WD align paragraph. Center story content story, text. Earth hung like a blue jewel against the blackness of space, clouds swirling across its surface in elegant patterns. From Admiral Leon Joe's command center deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, those clouds appeared as data points on massive holographic displays. Atmospheric conditions, weather patterns, and now disturbances in the upper atmosphere as unknown vessels breached Earth's space. Perimeter alert, announced the calm voice of Gaia, Earth's defense AI. Multiple unidentified vessels have entered cislunar space. Configuration matches UX Thari battlecruisers, Corellian assault carriers, and Volocris strike craft. Admiral, Joe studied the tactical display with practiced calm, her weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of holographic projections. At 62, she'd spent 4 decades in Earth's defense services, though officially her title was Director of Global Emergency Management. How many? She asked. 37 capital ships, approximately 200 support craft, Gaia replied. They are maintaining formation at lunar distance, no hostile actions yet, but weapon systems are powered and targeting arrays are active. Joe nodded to her communications officer. Open a channel to the orbital response platform. The main screen shifted to show a space station in Earth orbit, officially designated as Emergency Response Coordination Center Alpha. A man in a simple blue uniform appeared on screen. Director Joe, he greeted her. We're tracking them. Looks like the council faction that Ambassador Reyes warned us about. Director Ellis, Joe acknowledged. Status of your response teams? Ready and on standby, Ellis replied. Though I'm not sure what they expect 12 orbital platforms to do against 37 capital ships. Joe allowed herself a slight smile. Let's hope they continue to underestimate us. She turned to her executive officer. Alert status? All. Regional response centers are at readiness level 1, reported Commander Jackson. Global Defense Network is active but in passive scanning mode only. Nothing that would appear overtly military to their sensors. Good, Joe said. Let's continue the charade as long as possible. On the tactical display, the alien fleet had formed a blockade formation between Earth and the Moon. A transmission alert flashed. "They're hailing us," Jackson said. "Put it through." The screen changed to show Counselor Dreckmore, his barbed tentacles writhing with anticipation. Flanking him were representatives from the Corellian Aggregate and Volocris Dominion. "People of Earth," Dreckmore began, his translator rendering his clicking speech into English. "Your deception has been discovered. The Galactic Council has determined that Earth represents an unacceptable security risk to galactic peace. Your planet is hereby placed under quarantine. Any vessel attempting to leave your atmosphere will be destroyed." Joe maintained a neutral expression. "Counselor Dreckmore, this is Director Leon Joe of Earth Emergency Management. I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding. Earth has violated no treaties or agreements with the Galactic Council." "We witnessed your so-called emergency responders repel a hive mind attack," snarled the Volocris representative, his avian features contorted in anger. "Those were combat tactics." "With respect," Joe replied evenly, "you witnessed standard disaster response protocols. Our emergency services are trained to handle crisis situations, including hostile entities. The techniques used against the hive mind were adapted from methods developed for handling hazardous materials and dangerous wildlife." "You expect us to believe that?" Dreckmore's voice dripped with sarcasm. "It's the truth," Joe insisted. "Earth doesn't maintain what you would recognize as a military. Our defense strategy is based on a distributed response model where civilian agencies handle emergencies of all kinds." The Corellian representative leaned forward, her metallic exoskeleton gleaming under the lights of her ship, then explained these. The transmission split to show satellite imagery of structures around Earth, dams, power plants, transportation hubs, and what appeared to be defense installations. "I'm not sure what you're referring to," Joe said. "Those are civilian infrastructure. Our scans detect energy signatures consistent with weapon systems," the Corellian countered. "Ah," Joe nodded in understanding. "You're detecting our emergency backup systems, power generation, water purification, environmental controls, all. Critical infrastructure has redundant systems that can appear unusual on certain scanning frequencies." The alien representatives exchanged glances of disbelief. "You have 24 of your Earth hours to surrender and prepare for occupation," Dreckmore declared. "If you resist, we will have no choice but to employ more aggressive measures." The transmission cut off. Joe turned to her staff, the pretense of confusion dropping away. "They're going to attack regardless of what we say. Initiate Defense Protocol Aegis." Throughout Earth's solar system, what had appeared to be ordinary satellites, space debris, and scientific outposts began to change. Solar panels realigned to reveal sensor arrays, weather monitoring equipment reconfigured into defensive shields, research stations revealed concealed propulsion systems. In the command center, Joe opened a secure channel. "This is Admiral Joe to all Earth Defense Force units. The time for pretense is over. Activate all systems." Around the world, in what appeared to be fire stations, police headquarters, and emergency management centers, personnel moved with practiced precision. Civilians would have seen nothing unusual, just normal first responders going about their duties, but within those buildings, hidden command centers were coming online. In orbit, Director Ellis received the authorization code. "Acknowledge, Admiral," revealing actual capabilities now. The 12 orbital platforms that the alien fleet had dismissed as insignificant began to transform. Outer hull sections slid away to reveal advanced weapon systems. What had appeared to be simple communication arrays reconfigured into powerful shield generators. From concealed bays, smaller craft emerged, not the clumsy shuttles the Council knew about, but sleek, agile vessels clearly designed for combat. On the alien flagship, alarms blared as sensors detected the sudden change. "What is happening?" demanded Dreckmore, staring in disbelief at the tactical displays. "Energy signatures spiking across all Earth installations," reported his sensor officer. "Their orbital platforms are changing configuration. Impossible," the Volocris commander screeched. "Our intelligence indicated primitive defense capabilities only. We're detecting new vessels," continued the sensor officer, his voice rising in pitch. Hundreds of them, emerging from concealed locations on their moon, from their asteroid belt, even from what appeared to be space debris. Drekmore's tentacles writhed in agitation. Launch fighters. Target their primary defense nodes. The alien fleet surged forward, energy weapons charging as fighter craft poured from launch bays. They expected minimal resistance, a quick, decisive show of force against a primitive world that had somehow developed beyond its station. What they encountered instead was a defense network unlike anything they had ever faced. As the first wave of alien fighters approached Earth's orbit, they were met not by conventional military resistance, but by a coordinated response that seemed to flow like water around their attack patterns. Earth's orbital platforms didn't attempt to match the aliens' firepower. Instead, they projected overlapping defensive fields that absorbed energy weapons, while smaller Earth vessels executed precision maneuvers to disrupt formation. "What kind of tactics are these?" demanded the Corellian commander as she watched her fighters' carefully planned attack patterns dissolve into confusion. On the main command ship, Drekmore was receiving equally disturbing reports from the capital ships attempting to breach Earth's upper atmosphere. Rather than encountering military satellites or defense platforms, they found themselves entangled in a web of seemingly civilian systems that nonetheless functioned as an integrated defense network. Weather control satellites redirected high-altitude wind patterns to disrupt their approach. Communication relays projected interference fields that confused targeting systems. And everywhere, Earth vessels moved with a coordination that seemed impossible without a centralized military command. "Target their command center," ordered Drekmore in frustration. "We can't locate it," his tactical officer admitted. "Their command structure appears distributed. There's no central node. In her under." Bash tool CD, Home Claude and Python CR import docs from docs.shared import pt. RGB color inches from docs.enum text import. WD align, paragraph import, IOC, create document with basic formatting doc. Docx, document. Set margin sections. Doc.sections for section in sections. Section.left margin, inches 1. Section.right margin, inches 1. Section.top margin, inches 1 to section bottom margin, inches 1. Add title, doc.dad paragraph, title run, title dad run. That moment the galaxy realized what humanity's professional army truly was. Title run.bold year. True title run at font size, whereas PT16 title.alignment. De-align paragraph center add part 4 subtitle. Doc.add paragraph, subtitle run. Subtitle add run, part 4, subtitle run.bold or true subtitle run.font size. PT word turn. Subtitle alignment. WD align paragraph center. Story content story text. The emergency council session erupted into chaos as representatives from across the galaxy shouted over one another. In the center of the restored council chamber, holographic displays showed the devastating defeat of the Yuxtari-led fleet at Earth. The footage, transmitted across all council communication channels, revealed capabilities that defied conventional military understanding. High Arbiter Voxteal raised all 4 of his crystalline limbs, calling for order. "Silence. This council will have order." The chamber gradually quieted, though the tension remained palpable. Councillor Drekmore, his pride visibly wounded, addressed the gathering. "The humans deceived us all," he insisted, tentacles writhing in agitation. "They presented themselves as a peaceful species while building a military force in secret." "That is false," countered Councillor Talva, her ancient Novan features shifting to patterns indicating righteous anger. "I have reviewed all intelligence gathered during the Earth engagement. Their defense systems are exactly as they claimed, civilian infrastructure designed with multiple purposes." "Impossible," screeched the Volocris representative. "You all saw what their vessels did to our fleet near the Jupiter Gate. Those were military tactics." The chamber door slid open, silencing the debate. Ambassador Eliana Reyes entered, accompanied by Captain Marcus Vega. Behind them walked a tall, commanding woman in a simple blue uniform with minimal insignia, Admiral Leon Zhou. "The Council recognizes the Earth delegation," Voxtool announced. "High Arbiter, Honorable representatives, Ambassador Reyes began, her voice calm and measured. We come not to escalate tensions, but to clarify misunderstandings and, if possible, to forge a new relationship based on mutual respect and accurate information. What information could possibly explain what we witnessed? Demanded Drekmore. Your ships disabled our fleet with precision we've only seen from Tier 1 military powers. Admiral Joe stepped forward. With permission, I can provide that explanation. The Council recognizes Admiral Joe of Earth, Voxtel declared. Thank you, High Arbiter, Joe began. First, a correction. My official title is Global Emergency Management Director, not Admiral. Admiral is an honorary title reflecting my previous service in Earth's Oceanic Response Division. She gestured, and holographic displays appeared above the council floor, showing Earth's history. 300 years ago, Earth was much as you might expect. Divided nations with conventional militaries, standing armies, weapons designed solely for warfare. We fought devastating conflicts among ourselves that nearly destroyed our civilization. The displays showed historical footage of Earth's world wars, nuclear standoffs, and resource conflicts, images that made even the battle-hardened council representatives shift uncomfortably. After the resource wars of the late 21st century, humanity made a fundamental decision, Joe continued. We recognized that dedicated military forces, troops trained only for warfare, weapons designed only for killing, vessels built only for combat, were both inefficient and dangerous to long-term stability. The displays shifted to show Earth's global restructuring, the transformation of military installations into multi-purpose facilities, the retraining of soldiers as emergency responders, the redesign of weapon systems into tools with peaceful primary functions. Instead of armies, we created response teams, Joe explained. Instead of weapons, we developed tools that could serve daily needs but adapt to emergencies. Instead of warships, we built vessels that could perform scientific research, environmental management, and disaster relief, while retaining the capacity for defense if needed. But the coordination we witnessed, objected the Corellian representative. The tactical precision. No civilian force could achieve such results. That's where you misunderstand us, Joe replied. We don't distinguish between civilian and military capabilities the way you do. Every Earth citizen receives basic emergency response training. Those who serve in our response forces, what you might call our defense personnel, are trained to handle any crisis, from natural disasters to hostile actions. She gestured again, and the displays showed Earth's response teams in action, handling floods and fires, containing industrial accidents, performing complex rescue operations, and now, defending against alien aggression. The same teamwork that lets us evacuate a city threatened by a hurricane allows us to coordinate against an invading fleet, Joe continued. The same systems that manage our global climate can disrupt enemy targeting. The same vessels that clean space debris can disable hostile ships. The council chamber had fallen completely silent. Representatives from hundreds of species trying to comprehend a fundamentally different approach to security. But this must be tremendously inefficient, argued a Malosian representative, her feathered appendages quivering in confusion. Dedicated military systems would be far more effective for combat. In the short term, perhaps, Joe acknowledged. But our approach provides three critical advantages. First, every system serves a useful purpose during peacetime, meaning nothing sits idle waiting for war. Second, our response personnel remain constantly trained through daily operations. And third, our defense capabilities are distributed throughout our infrastructure, making them nearly impossible to neutralize with targeted strikes. As the implications sank in, a new alarm blared through the council chamber. Warning displays activated, showing a massive vessel emerging from slipspace near the council station. Planetary elimination craft detected, announced the automated system. Class 5 planet killer, Uxthari configuration. All eyes turned to Counselor Drekmore, whose tentacles had gone completely still, a sign of shock in his species. This is not authorized, he stammered. I gave no order for this. The vessel's trajectory indicates Earth as its target, reported a council security officer. Estimated time to weapon discharge 40 minutes. Panic erupted in the chamber. Planet killers were among the most restricted weapons in the galaxy, capable of rendering a world uninhabitable in minutes. Their use required full council authorization. authorization that had definitely not been granted. Earth is 3 hours away by fastest available transit. The security officer continued. There's no way to evacuate or prepare defenses in time. In the midst of the chaos, Admiral Zhou remained calm. She touched a communication device on her wrist. Zhu to Commander Winter. Contingency Olympus is authorized. Authentication code Theta 97 Victor. The response came immediately through the chamber's communication system. Authentication confirmed, Admiral. Olympus forces engaging now. The main display shifted to show the planet killer vessel, a massive construct of dark metal nearly 20 kilometers long. Its forward section already beginning to glow with the energy buildup that preceded planetary destruction. And then, something unexpected appeared on the displays. Small vessels, dozens of them, emerging from what had appeared to be commercial transports, research outposts, and mining operations throughout the sector. Within moments, they had surrounded the planet killer. What is this? Ha, demanded VoxTL. Earth Defense Force Special Response Division. Joe answered calmly. Commander Winter's team. On the display, the Earth vessels, each barely 1/100th the size of the planet killer, executed a coordinated attack pattern unlike anything the Council had witnessed before. Instead of targeting weapon systems or propulsion, they focused on communication arrays, sensor nodes, and control interfaces. They're not trying to destroy it, realized the Melosian representative. They're trying to disable it. Within minutes, the planet killer's energy buildup had ceased. The massive vessel drifted powerless in space as Earth's small craft systematically neutralized its systems. How is this possible? Drekmore whispered, his translator barely picking up his words. How could they have forces in position throughout the sector? Joe turned to him, her expression stern but not triumphant. What you're seeing is Earth's true defense strategy. Not concentrated military might, but distributed presence. Every Earth trade mission, scientific expedition, and diplomatic delegation includes response personnel trained to act in emergencies. She gestured to the display, where Commander Olivia Winter's face had appeared. A woman in her 40s with Chloe. Bash Tool CD, Home Claude and Python C Ardate import docs from docx. Shared import PT. RGB color inches from docs.inium text import. D-align paragraph import IOC. Create document with basic formatting doc tegrisir docs.document. Set margin sections, sir doc.sections, for section and sections. Section dot left margin, bind inches 1. Section dot right margin, inches 1 section dot top margin. Inches 1 section dot bottom margin, cheer inches 1. Add title. Doc add paragraph, title run. Title add run that. Moment the galaxy realized what humanity's professional army truly was. Title nor run.bold. True title, run.font.size. Ger PT 16, title, alignment. WD align paragraph center, add part 5 subtitle. Doc added paragraph, subtitle run. Subtitled add run, part 5, subtitle run bold, sharp rings. True subtitle run.font.size or PT 14 subtitled alignment. With align paragraph center. Story content story text, burn 1 year later. The Galactic Council's new assembly hall gleamed with an architectural style that blended traditions from across the galaxy with distinctly Earth-inspired elements. Gone were the imposing hierarchical tiers of the old chamber. In their place stood a circular arrangement where representatives from all worlds, including, for the first time, newly admitted species, could address each other as equals. High Arbiter VoxTel, still leading the council but now as first among equals rather than supreme authority, called the historic session to order. His crystalline form caught the light from the vast windows that revealed the stars beyond. This assembly is convened to formalize the new galactic compact, he announced, his translator conveying the solemnity of the occasion. For 10,000 cycles, the Council has governed interstellar relations based on principles established during the First Unity War. Today, we acknowledge that the galaxy has entered a new era, one that requires new approaches to security, governance, and cooperation. Representatives from 500 worlds murmured in agreement. Near the center of the chamber, Earth's expanded delegation observed the proceedings with quiet satisfaction. Ambassador Eliana Reyes sat alongside Admiral Leon Zhou, Captain Marcus Vega, and Commander Olivia Winter, the four humans who had, in different ways, revealed humanity's true nature to the galaxy. Before we ratify the compact, continued Voxtel, I invite Director Talva to present the findings of the Special Investigation Commission. The elderly Novan rose, her skin rippling with formal color patterns. As head of the commission established to investigate the planet killer incident and its deeper implications, she had spent months piecing together a conspiracy that spanned centuries. Honorable representatives, she began. What began as an investigation into a single unauthorized weapon deployment has revealed something far more disturbing. A systematic campaign by certain elements within the Council to identify and neutralize any species that might challenge traditional power structures. Holographic evidence appeared throughout the chamber, records, communications, and testimony compiled over the past year. Military Director Kravtor was not acting alone, Talva continued. He was part of a network that has operated within Council institutions for at least 3,000 cycles. Their purpose? To ensure that the established military powers, primarily the Yuxthari Imperium, the Corellian Aggregate, and the Volocris Dominion, maintained their dominance. The evidence displays showed hundreds of incidents, minor protectorate species whose development had been subtly curtailed, promising civilizations subjected to containment actions, and potential rivals deliberately entangled in regional conflicts that drained their resources. This network identified Earth as a potential threat within months of first contact, Talva explained. Not because humans demonstrated aggression, but because initial cultural analysis suggested a fundamentally different approach to security, one that could eventually challenge the military-industrial complexes that have dominated galactic politics for millennia. Ambassador Reyes leaned toward Zhou. 30 years of surveillance, and they still didn't understand us until they actually attacked, she whispered. They were looking for what they knew, Zhou replied quietly. Weapons stockpiles, military hierarchies, conquest doctrines. They couldn't recognize a defense system that didn't follow their model. Talva was continuing her presentation. The most disturbing finding is that this network deliberately engineered the hive mind containment breach that attacked the Council session last year. Their intent was twofold: to create a crisis that would justify aggressive action against Earth, and to eliminate Council members who opposed their influence. A rumble of shock and outrage swept through the chamber. The hive mind had been the galaxy's most feared predator for thousands of years. The idea that anyone would deliberately release them as a political maneuver was almost unthinkable. If not for the intervention of Earth's emergency response team, Talva noted, many in this chamber would not be alive today. The network counted on conventional military thinking, where civilian evacuation takes priority and defensive forces protect leadership. They did not anticipate humans who would move toward the danger rather than away from it. Captain Vega smiled slightly at this. His firefighting training had taught him decades ago to run into burning buildings when everyone else was running out. That same principle had saved the Council. The Commission recommends comprehensive reforms to Council security protocols, intelligence oversight, and military authorization procedures, Talva concluded. But more importantly, we recommend that the Council formally adopt elements of what we are now calling the Earth model, an integrated approach where defense capabilities are distributed throughout civilian infrastructure, rather than concentrated in dedicated military forces. As Talva returned to her seat, Voxteal addressed the chamber again. These findings inform the core principles of the new Galactic Compact. Before we vote on ratification, I invite Admiral Zhou of Earth to address the Assembly. Zhou rose and moved to the central speaker's position. Though still wearing the simple blue uniform of Earth Emergency Management, she now carried herself with the authority of someone who had fundamentally changed galactic politics. Honorable representatives, she began. 1 year ago, Earth stood alone against forces that sought to eliminate us simply because we approached security differently. Today I stand before you not to gloat over vindication, but to offer perspective on why our approach evolved as it did. Holographic displays activated again, showing Earth's history. Not just the conflicts and wars that the Council had seen before, but the disasters, accidents, and crises that had shaped human emergency response. Humanity didn't develop our distributed defense model because we're inherently peaceful, Joe explained candidly. We developed it because we're intimately familiar with conflict. After nearly destroying ourselves multiple times, we recognize that concentrating military power creates its own dangers. It becomes a target for enemies and a temptation for leaders. The displays showed Earth's global restructuring in greater detail than previous presentations. The systematic integration of defense capabilities into civilian infrastructure, the training programs that gave emergency responders tactical flexibility, the governance systems that distributed authority while maintaining coordination. What you witnessed in our response to the Yuxthari fleet and the Planet Killer wasn't a revelation of secret military might, Joe continued. It was the natural expression of a society where everyone is trained to respond to crises, where every system serves multiple purposes, and where the boundary between civilian and defender has been deliberately blurred. She gestured, and the display showed what had happened in the year since the confrontation. Dozens of worlds beginning to implement aspects of Earth's approach, integrated response teams combining personnel from different species, and former military installations being converted to multi-purpose facilities. The proposed Galactic Compact incorporates these principles not because Earth has imposed them, but because they offer practical advantages, Joe noted. A distributed defense network is more resilient against attack, more efficient in peacetime, and less susceptible to misuse. Emergency response capabilities protect against natural disasters and technological failures, as well as hostile action. And perhaps most importantly, when everyone is a potential defender, the distinction between those who protect and those who are protected disappears, creating societies where security is a shared responsibility, rather than a specialized function. As Joe returned to her seat, representatives from across the galaxy rose to speak in support of the new compact. Most surprising was Councillor Drekmore, once Earth's most vocal opponent, now a passionate advocate for reform. The Yuxthari Imperium has existed for 12,000 cycles, he began, tentacles moving in formal patterns of contrition. In that time, we have measured our greatness by the strength of our military, the fear we inspired in rivals, and the territories we controlled. The events of the past year have shown us the fun,